During this lockdown, I'm trying to go over past history and look at notes from many years ago and some research I've done over the years in many different countries. And I wish today to bring that to a focus. I've already touched on these themes on some other videos I've presented on my YouTube channel, a small channel which I'm hoping to grow. And today I'd like to name this video The Complexity of Life in Our Galaxy, that is the Milky Way galaxy, because I feel that this topic is becoming it's coming more into the public sphere, that what we've been taught at school and at university is incorrect, because alternative narratives have started to pervade the public sphere, and this has enabled us to think much more comprehensively on how perhaps life developed in the galaxy. Remembering also that most stars in our galaxy hold planetary systems. Some of these planets are very large, that's true, and very close to their suns. However, within that group, there are many stars that hold smaller bodies, ranging from 1.5 times the size of our Earth or to bodies slightly smaller. And these bodies, of course, are probably made up of hard crust and minerals. And this suggests the possibility of life if water and other important elements exist on these planets. And there's every reason to believe that for many of them, these elements do exist. And so if I go back to when I was 15 years old, I was visiting cousins down in England, and I came across The Chariots of the Gods by Erich von Däniken. And this book had a great impression on me because Erich von Däniken opened up in 1970, he opened up this theme that we had in fact been visited by extraterrestrial beings from off-planet, and that they had had a great stimulus in the creation of our planet, our own Earth civilizations, for example in Sumer or in Mexico, Egypt, around the Cairo area, Lebanon, Greece, etc. And he suggested that we had not looked at the evidence clearly, that we had been hidebound by religious traditions and by academia, and that there might be some people in the know, but they'd been hiding the truth from us. And after reading this book, I came away convinced that his reasoning was correct, but it left me with so many questions that I couldn't answer. Now, in the 1990s, Erich von Däniken's work on the possibility that our languages, our culture, our history had been developed and hastened by ET intervention was further promoted by a contactee called Alex Collier. Now, Alex is quite famous in the alternative world right now because he's getting old and he's been around for many, many years, and his thoughts and conclusions have influenced other researchers. And what Alex had to say was very interesting. He said that human civilization in the Milky Way galaxy did not start here on Earth, that it actually started in the Lyra star system. And the Lyra star system stretches from the star Vega right through to Lyra Epsilon 1 and 2. Vega is 25 light years away. Epsilon 1 and 2 is 158 to 163 light years away. And the system is possibly bigger than that. And he had said that he had been told by another group called the Andromedans that the human experiment, the human being, had started on the Lyra star system and had spread through the Milky Way galaxy. He went on to say that the Andromedans, who are a blue-skinned, tall people who are humanoid and look like us, were the ones to advance civilization this side of the galaxy, and that they had built huge starships that could maneuver the vast distances of space using very high technology. The Andromedans had contacted Alex because they had been worried that humanity had lost its way, was confused about its history, that our technology had superseded our spiritual development, and that we were way out of balance. And furthermore, there were a few negative ET groups here manipulating us and manipulating our elites. Now that's a thorny topic, which I'm not going to go into today. But this is the thrust and distinction of Alex Collier's work. So he went much further than Eric von Daniken, and he explored these themes. He says that the Lyrians first appeared on Earth more than 700,000 years ago and established a scientific colony. I believe, if I remember rightly, it was on the border between Niger and Libya, and that if we were to go there today, we'd find many hidden artifacts. He later went on to say in his many lectures that the Lyrians had left their descendants here on Earth. That meant that the Lyrians had interbred with an earlier humanoid creature, and that accounts for some of the racial differences between many different races on Earth. And he further went on to suggest, of course, that other humans who had different skin colours, different bone structures, different skull sizes, also interbred with a basic Earth human being to produce the many different races we see here today, and that it was not really evolution, that this was outside interference. And I believe there's strong evidence for this. And I would suggest that many of the puzzling artifacts from history and the monumental buildings and the wide range of architectural styles and writing styles and language differences point to outside influence and stimulus. There is a huge problem now that we're facing in that academia and mainstream is still not really come around to the fact that, as I said, our history books and what we're taught is incorrect. And I think now that there's been a push from the alternative side, and it's beginning to filter through that now's a time for us to completely reassess and get the truth of our history and where we came from, because we are now facing so many different crises. And if we were to take the higher view, the view that, yes, we may have all come from different parts of this galaxy, and we may have all been interbred with each other, we're still one human species, and we need to try to find a way to come together as one human civilization that can agree to a higher standard of doing things on the planet Earth. Right now, with the COVID-19 and with a possible war between certain very large powers, which I'm not going to name, we can see that we're in difficulty and trouble. The religions that we have, while they have been they've served mankind in the past are no longer suitable for us to move forward with, because they're hidebound and stuck in dogma and traditions which hinder our development and our as I said, a greater understanding. Science has now shown that most, as I said earlier, most stars have planets around them, and we can suggest that yes, life in the universe and galaxy is much, much, much older than we believe, and that this life has reached a high technological state. Now, I'm going to follow this up with some questions, 3 questions. This is just the first part of a series I'm going to do, and I will explore these themes further. Thank you.
What is the most outstanding evidence that you can point to that suggests life on Earth was seeded from space and off-planet civilization?
Life was seeded from space. What evidence do we have? I think if we were to go to the geological record and look at particularly the dinosaur record, where it seems over a short period of historical time, dinosaurs appeared complete in their form, that there seemed to be very few or no transition species between very simple reptilian forms and very advanced reptilian forms. To me, this suggests that they were created and developed somewhere else and brought here fully formed. This also leads on to the fact that not all civilizations in space are human, and many people have commented. Some of the comments, of course, have been perhaps over-exaggerated or over-imaginative, but some species may be reptilian in origin, and that reptilians somewhere in the galaxy developed intelligence, and that they've been around much longer than human beings in the galactic or universal history. But go again and think of the fossil record and think of the Brontosaurus, for example, this huge creature with a tiny head and massive body. Where's the earlier model of the Brontosaurus? There's none. It doesn't exist. The species appears fully formed. So I would say the same with the Tyrannosaurus rex, and some of the bird species and insect species also appear fully formed. Yeah, there's the old argument of Archaeopteryx being the ancestor of the birds, but come on, that to me that's a weak argument. And if you talk to kids, actually, they'll tell you, yeah, the dinosaurs suddenly appeared. God created them and put them there. But of course, here we're thinking of something different, of a deliberate plantation in the garden of the earth by other species. And we do this when we create our own gardens. We transplant exotic species from all over the earth to create gardens, and this is what I think happens in space too.
Why can't the ET people come down to Earth and solve our problems for us?
ETs can't come down here and solve our problems, and if they were to do, they would take away our self-responsibility. We have to come up to the batting crease, and we have to bat. We are responsible for ourselves. We are responsible for this planet. And if power was taken away from us, we would never learn. We would never grow to be an advanced, responsible, spacefaring civilization. It would just be a failed experiment. And so perhaps they can influence things from afar. Perhaps, and this is also very controversial, a few of their special teachers that came in the past had some connection to ET civilizations. But I think while they can spur us on and encourage us and implant a few selected teachings, they can't take responsibility for us. And also they have their own issues and own problems. Some of them, if we are to believe different perspectives, can't live on our planet. It's too toxic for them. They would be infected and have no resistance to some of our germs and viruses. They would be, they might have difficulty also breathing our toxic air. The Andromedans apparently are oxygen breathers. Other species are not. Again, I mentioned some reptilian species who, when they come here, wear masks. But for oxygen breathing species like us, I guess the environment might be toxic for them in the sense of unknown viruses, chemical wastage from all sorts of things that we produced here on Earth. So it's maybe not a good gamble for them to walk around. And furthermore, there would be threats against them, for sure.
What else did Alex Collier say about the Andromeda people?
Alex Collier says very interesting things about the Andromedans. They're extremely old. They are descended from another human species, which I've mentioned, the first one in our galaxy, the Lyrans. He says that they're up to 50,000 years more advanced spiritually and 10,000 years more advanced technologically. And what they say is that, as I said, one of the problems we have here is our military and our military-industrial complex. It's 400 to 500 years ahead of where we are socially and spiritually and culturally, and therefore our tendency to want to make weapons of war is very risky for us, and possibly also for them if we do get out to space and start kicking up trouble. And so what they hope to do is to enlighten us and give us a fresh perspective. Not that I think we should disarm and say, okay, yeah, we'll become your space brothers and and we'll follow everything that you should do, that you've asked us to do. No, that would be wrong. We should become independent and we should be prepared to defend ourselves. But our spirituality is waned or is lacking, and you'll know this listening to this. You just need to look at our society at the moment. It's inherent conflicts and I would say false narratives and false dilemmas are constantly introduced to destabilize us, and one wonders where does that come from? Who put that into the headlines of the newspaper or the BBC, etc. So this is the first video in this series, and this is 3rd of February 2021. I hope to continue. I wish you success in your own research. Do follow up. I don't know if this is in focus. Eric von Daniken, and he wrote Chariots of the Gods. It came out about 1969, I believe. And Alex Collier. He has many videos that have been reissued on YouTube, and he's quite a famous contactee. Does everything that he says fall into the complete category of truth? Well, possibly not, but I think the gist of it does. Okay, thank you and good luck.